was doing documentaries in Afghanistan. At that point in time, this is in 2001, just post 9/11, you were either a journalist or you were a intelligence agent. At the end of the day, I'm just a storyteller, Faridoon. So for me, the excitement is that I'm getting the opportunities to make stories the way I want to. I mean, that's for me the greatest advantage of being a so-called relatively successful filmmaker, is that I get to make the stories that I want to. Hi, this is Kabir Khan and you are watching Bollywood Hungama.
Now coming to Tiger, so I was watching one of your interviews today, and you said that there was some real life reference for Tiger, like a character that you had met during your documentary days and during your travel with Zinda Hai. And then it became like an idea, and just gradually developed, and a lot of things that you experienced that when you were doing an interview with Hamid Karzai, for example, and then you get like a Mercedes for going to Indian High Commission, and those discussions takes place, and a lot of information. There are more agents during those times than actual politicians.
This is during my stay in Afghanistan, actually, when I was doing documentaries in Afghanistan. At that point in time, this is in 2001, just post 9/11, you were either a journalist or you were a intelligence agent. There was nobody else, nobody else had any business in Kabul. So it's in those experiences that I've met a lot of people from the world of intelligence. And, there are always these myths and legends about certain people in the world of intelligence, and people are cagey about it. They don't really talk openly about it. So those things started intriguing me, and there are some characters that I started, speaking to. As I said, we would actually meet people from intelligence, the world from our country and other countries also. And that started intriguing me, as to what if we set a character, who both of them know about, they don't want to talk about, a character who, in a certain sense, unsettled the whole world of intelligence. And that's how the seed of the idea started, and then finally developed into Tiger, which of course now has become a franchise.
Of course. So, you've also said that when you were making those documentary films, it was a great experience for you. But they were generally viewed either in say festivals, or maybe mostly in Delhi, India Habitat Center, the International Center, like 2,000 people audience, and most of them, they were on the same page as you, and they agreed with your viewpoint anyways.
Yes.
Now, starting your journey in a way from that, obviously saying that has been a great experience for you.
Yes.
And then coming on to a film like Tiger, which goes on to become one of the biggest hits of India, box office wise, 200 crores, and the first day was massive. Like, it was unheard of response. वो आपका तजुर्बा कैसा था कि आप एक इतना बिल्कुल 2000 लोग देख रहे हैं जिसके अंदर कोई आपके कमर्शियल इंटरेस्ट नहीं है, you're making it for your heart, and suddenly you become this filmmaker who is looked at in Bollywood कि आप न्यूयॉर्क टाइप की फिल्म बनाइए, और and with एक Tiger you become like a 200 crore director.
So, at the end of the day, I'm just a storyteller, Faridoon. So, for me, the excitement is that I'm getting the opportunities to make stories the way I want to. I mean, that's for me the greatest advantage of being a so-called relatively successful filmmaker, is that I get to make the stories that I want to. And it could be in a documentary format, it could be in the format of a Tiger, format of Kabul Express or 83 or any of the films. And so for me, I've never really seriously looked at the box office. I'm not trying to say that it doesn't, of course it affects me if my Tiger does 200, Bajarangi does 350. Of course I feel really happy about it, because it's also a reflection of the fact that a lot of people are seeing it, which is the main reason why I shifted from documentaries to mainstream cinema, because I realized at some point that in our country, I mean, the most powerful medium is mainstream cinema, and if I want to tell a story that I want a lot of people to see and talk about, it has to be mainstream cinema. So of course, I mean, business is important, but business is not the only thing that can define a film. I mean, I won't take names and comparisons, but I'm happier with some of my films that didn't do the same business as some of my films that did more business, So it's like 83, right? I'm really happy with 83. I would like to say that is one of the best films I've made, because it's, at the end of the day, for a director, what is a good film? What I set out to do and how close I came to that. Sometimes you can make films where you did not come close to what you set out to do, but still goes and becomes a huge success. Or there's a film that you can really, which you make, which is really close to your heart, but didn't do the kind of business at the box office that you would expect it to do. And again, I think business is something that I only learned, I think, post New York. I didn't know what figures mean. I remember Adi calling me the day New York released, or the day after New York released, and he said, congratulations. He didn't say congratulations. He said, he just gave me the number. It's done this much. And there was a pause, and I said, is that good or bad, Adi? So he started laughing. He's saying it's one of the best openings ever. So I said, oh, great. And then, of course, my dear friend Katrina is somebody who knows all the numbers. So in the process of New York, I remember she would coach me and educate me about numbers.
Right.
So yes, numbers are important, but they cannot be the only defining feature of a film, for sure.
Right. Now, you've also said repeatedly that you've always been like an outsider as far as the Bollywood is concerned. Now, you know what many people find it baffling still कि आपने एक franchisee आपने बना एक आप film बनाते हैं Tiger and becomes like huge massive hit, and why is it that you would not want to be a part of the second film, and now the third film is being directed most eagerly awaited films. The second film goes on to do 300 crores. तो वो एक बहुत ही uncharacteristic एक trait आपके अंदर है जो कि बॉलीवुड में नहीं होता है. लोग यहाँ पर इतने केजी होते हैं कि अगर कोई एक बन जाता है प्रोजेक्ट बन जाता है तो दे होल्ड ऑन टू इट लाइक थर्ड फोर्थ all the sequels.
See, Faridoon, I can only speak for myself. If anybody wants to make franchises, great. I think it's great that you can create franchises and remain excited and continue with them for, first installment, second installment, whatever, third installment. For me, as I said, principally I'm a storyteller, and I feel when I've made that film, I'm done with that story. I'm done with that character. I'm not living with that character anymore. I have, I always do think about what would have happened to these characters after the film, and I have a story in my mind. But it's never excited me enough to now again go back and do a story with those characters. And yes, you're right. In our industry, the moment a film is a hit, people start expecting to make a sequel. It happened with me not only in Tiger. I remember post New York, a lot of people started saying कि इसका sequel कब बनेगा. And I said, आपने picture देखी तो सब मर गए हैं. किसके बारे में बनाऊंगा मैं? But Tiger also, for me it was one story. Yes, it had potential of a franchise. When I was writing it, we knew there's a potential of a franchise. But I was very clear that I'm not going to do it. I've never been excited by franchises, and that's the reason why. You can imagine the amount of pressure to make Bajarangi Bhaijaan Part 2, right?
Of course.
But for me, the story is over. But having said that, I'm not saying, never say never. I don't know. Maybe 5 years down the line, suddenly some story comes or somebody brings me a story about one of the characters that I've created, and I get really excited and I say, hey, I want to do this. Abhi tak aisa nahi hua. Abhi tak I've always felt a little. I don't get excited by going back and revisiting that character. I feel, ho gaya, I'd rather move on to something else.
Right. So, in more ways than one, you're also on a journey in a way. You love to travel, and
Absolutely.
so on this journey you meet many people that I'm sure that you must have found very inspiring. So, in your experience of making films, you met some great people. Like, say, one person that comes to my mind is Girish Karnad sab, who was there in Ek Tha Tiger. So he was not merely an actor, but a very fine a writer, and he stood for something. He believed in certain things, which I'm sure must be very inspiring for you as well. So, experience of working with someone like Girish Karnad.
That's always a pleasure. Girish sir, or Roshan Seth, or Irfan, who was in New York, or even Nawaz. I mean, but Girish sir, of course, was an institution, right? I mean, working with him is just a small part of the experience. Just spending time with him, being able to discuss things with him, talk to him about so many issues was really like discovering a treasure, because I remember the time I spent with him in whether it was in Turkey or Ireland or even in India. I'll always remember those moments, because it's very rare to come across somebody who has such strong views on issues, such clarity on issues, and you can only learn and grow as a person when you are able to interact with people like Girish Karnad.
All right. So you've had the distinction of working with Salman Khan in 3 films.
Yes.
You've categorically said that there were differences in Ek Tha Tiger, and then there's mutual respect as well. And many would say that the way you presented him in Ek Tha Tiger was something which was badly needed for him, because he was doing these 100 crore films, but maybe the production quality or the way things were, they were not really befitting his stature, at least at that point of time when it was being made. Experience of working with someone like Salman Khan, how enriching was it, and Did you have apprehensions? You're actually saying it openly that I don't agree with him all the time.
No, because Salman is not at all an insecure person. Of course, if we had differences, he's not going to say, "Oh, why did you say that?" Not at all. He's very, very secure. He's a superstar for a certain reason, and my journey with Salman Khan has been very enriching and very rewarding. I cannot at all deny the fact that I have a certain positioning in this industry because of my 3 films with Salman Khan.
Right.
I cannot deny what Bajarangi Bhaijaan did for my career. You know, it's become definitely the career defining film for me, and I enjoyed everything. And you know, when people say about differences, how can you not have differences? I feel that if 2 creative people don't have differences, then either they're both lazy and not interested in what they're doing, because differences only come up when you're passionate about the material that you have, and therefore you have a strong viewpoint. And that was great with Salman. Of course, he would have his points of view. I would have my point of view, and sometimes it will lead to discussions. But that was great because something came out of those discussions. You know, there are times when I realize that what he's saying is correct, and I should incorporate that, or it would suddenly make me think in a certain way. And there are times when I said no, I would really want to stick to what I'm doing, and that's the way we did it. So it was. I mean, the 3 films with Salman were truly rewarding for me, and I really sort of look back at those experiences a lot of. I would any day repeat those experiences given a choice, because it really helped me grow as a filmmaker and as a person. Hi, this is Kabir Khan, and you are watching Bollywood Hungama.